So you thought it was Ophelia all along? No, it was me, Antonio. The JoJo memes aside, that twist got me. I mean, they kick off the episode with this support AI who I thought was an abusive piece of shit. That's the initial impression. And then you end that flashback with us probably all agreeing, or at least for the most part, that, oh, it was a very determined support AI, but it seemingly cared about Ophelia making the big stage and getting an audience that deserved her, because the audience that she's singing for doesn't appreciate her voice. I was like, okay, even though it's not the best personality, at least for someone like myself, I still understood their connection. And while watching this episode, throughout it, I really was unsure why she wanted to kill herself, because it has to happen. Even though they kick off the episode with basically the uncertainty of how the timeline will go, they're showing how she killed herself in one, and then it branches off into where we're currently at. It's fuzzy, we don't know, does she do it or doesn't she? But throughout the episode, it felt like because Diva was constantly going and saying, you know what, the best way to stop her is to see what's troubling her and help her overcome it. And by the time you get to the point where she's looking at Antonio, shut down a little while back, and it was basically her everything, but she seems happy, she seems content, and I was like, okay, I have no idea. Maybe we've changed enough throughout other timelines and other points in history that maybe this time she just won't do it. Maybe because Vivi lost her identity and she's just simply Diva, maybe that's enough of a turning point. And while watching this episode, it just reaffirmed to me that Matsumoto isn't some evil bastard or is trying to actually destroy everything. Without a doubt, Matsumoto is just going to the points that have gone wrong and is using logic in order to avoid it. The end of the episode says as much. He literally went to stop her from jumping. There was nothing about his words, there was nothing like Diva or Vivi wasn't there, right? It was simply Matsumoto and Ophelia, and he was saying, even though this kind of confuses me, I can understand where you're coming from. He was literally trying to be exactly like Vivi would be, trying to be emotional and trying to give her support. And then the Antonio twist comes, and it's like, oh, this is starting to make a lot more sense why a girl would do that. So it feels to me that either this has been going on for a while, or what could have happened when she brought Diva in to show why she does what she does. Maybe something triggered there, and he went into hibernating because he was waiting for the moment to strike. I don't know, but I have a feeling that the suicide isn't necessarily going to be a suicide. It's going to be because Antonio is going to be fighting Matsumoto and Diva. Most likely they'll end up fighting, she'll fall off the roof, and it will just be perceived as a suicide, even though it was self-defense and trying to stop someone from using a young up-and-coming singer in the making, right? It's so incredible to see that twist and how elegantly they nailed it. I really thought this arc was going to end this week. I just felt, I just didn't see something like that coming. There's been so many points like that where you are pretty confident in your theories, and then in comes a twist like that that just throws me for a loop. I mean, the whole idea of what I assumed was a vision in Diva's head because she had so much traumatic experience in the previous arc. You're seeing the man that she saved 60 some odd years ago, but he looks younger than we last saw him. So is that his son? Is it a vision? And throughout the episode, before we get the confirmation that someone like Matsumoto was actually looking at fake footage, pre-recorded footage, I was like, oh, if he doesn't see him on the camera, this is clearly in her head. The idea of the gunshot wasn't actually a gunshot, it was her malfunctioning again because she can't stomach the truth. But then you end up having, no, that's actually him, so most likely it's just been some cosmetic modification. I mean, look at the type of technology they have in their world. The idea of keeping humans young and healthy is probably something that's pretty easy to do if you have the money and resources, which clearly this assassination-style plotline guy kind of has. The most interesting thing, though, is after the credits, you actually get to see his backstory and how he loved the piano. His piano teacher was an AI, and that AI ended up dying after saving a bunch of people from a car wreck. But that doesn't say to me that that's enough for him to hate AIs, especially given the fact that he clearly loved his piano teacher. So there's still a lot of uncertainty, and I think next week is really going to start to dive into that more, and it'll be interesting to see because I can sort of understand if he does have sort of a hatred in a certain way, like he wishes that AIs would stick to their programming and not go off the driven course, because he loved his piano teacher, and his piano teacher ended up dying for other people's sake. That's not what he wants to see. Someone like Vivi, aka Diva, constantly is going out of her way, going against the general song performance sort of criteria. So maybe it's kind of like a constant reminder to him that, every time I get saved, it's just a reminder that the person that I really enjoyed spending time with isn't here because they went off their driven course. I'm not sure if it's going to be something like that, maybe a bit more, but it feels like the direction they're going so far, right? But I mean, watching this episode, and to me personally, just feeling more confident that Matsumoto isn't deliberately trying to screw things over. I think it is just a cause and effect of once you change one thing, brand new territory where, yeah, obviously you know how official history reports it, but it feels more like the reason official history reports it like that is because you guys were always going to mess it up in that way. And it's going to be interesting to see what the overall final arc will be. It'll obviously relate to Vivi, but it will be interesting to see where they go from there. And there's some interesting comments that are made, especially towards Matsumoto, like Diva saying, like, you have no reason to help me. If you simply cut me off from the mission because you found me to be a malfunction, why did you save my life? I legit think it's a genuine companionship. I think Matsumoto clearly just really enjoys Diva or Vivi's company and doesn't want to see her end up dead and probably is hoping that she would regain her memories. But it feels to me that there isn't an ounce of lying in Matsumoto's voice, and maybe to some people that's a little silly to think that way because the typical response would be evil AI is saying he's saving humanity when really he's bringing about the destruction. That probably is the case, but I don't think it's deliberate. It feels to me, I mean, especially considering him trying to talk down Ophelia from jumping, is just an AI following its programming, and because unlike characters like Vivi, who deviate away from her programming and do things that are odd, I think that's a big reason why a lot of bad things have been occurring, and honestly, I have no idea how the final arc is going to look. It was really nice to see another character other than Vivi get those hyper-detailed shots. Ophelia looked beautiful with those, but I mean, the twistedness and the voice acting, I mean, we had it back on the space hotel where the sister was kind of like malfunctioning and you had that eerie screeching sound effects. You pretty much had the same thing when the voice switch happened with Ophelia and the sound effects with the distortion to the vocals. Incredible stuff. I mean, Vivi is really peak anime original, and seriously, we're 8 episodes into this 13 episode adventure, and it feels like there is still so much we don't know, but it feels like we're building up to something that will be a satisfying conclusion. I'd probably go as far to say that Matsumoto is my favorite character in this show. I think the uncertainty of where Cube is going, I mean, the way he responds to things, the way he constantly takes Minecraft-like forms, and it was actually revealed that the pilot ship that they had back in the previous arc, they actually like sketched it out in Minecraft to get the idea of how they would do it. There's this, I love the idea of this cube and how naturally your response is you shouldn't trust him, but over the episodes for me it feels like I kind of want to, even if he turns out to be the biggest scumbag. There's a charm about this guy, and from bear to cube form, he blows me away every single time. Incredible. I would argue this might be my favorite arc that we've experienced so far, and honestly, who knows where we're going from here. Let me know your thoughts and theories down below, your favorite moment. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you're happy new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.